I have not slept more than 3 hours a night in the past 2 weeks. 17 years ago, I destroyed the life of my best friend with a single lie. His name was Roger. That lie cost him his scholarship, his future, his family. I lived with that secret buried deep for 17 years, convincing myself it was too late to matter, that he had moved on, that maybe he had even forgotten. 2 weeks ago, Roger found me. He knows the truth now. He wants answers. And I have no idea how to face what I did to him. Before I tell you how everything fell apart, I need to know I am not alone in this. Drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from. And if you have ever carried a secret that ate you alive, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear how this story ends, because what happened when Roger and I finally sat face to face, I never saw it coming. Now let me take you back to where it all began. It was 2007, maybe early 2008. Roger and I were seniors at Lincoln High School in Portland, Oregon. We had been best friends since 7th grade, back when we were just awkward kids trying to figure out where we fit in. Roger was the smart one. Not just book smart, but genuinely brilliant. The kind of guy who could explain calculus in a way that actually made sense, who stayed after school to help anyone who asked. His parents were not wealthy. His dad, Frank, worked as a mechanic at a local auto shop. His mom was a nurse at Providence Portland Medical Center, pulling double shifts whenever they needed extra money. Roger knew that his only shot at a good college was a full scholarship, and he had one waiting for him at the University of Washington. All he had to do was keep his grade point average above 3.7. I came from a different world. My dad was an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown. My mom taught English at a private elementary school. We were comfortable, middle-class, stable. But that stability came with expectations. My parents had decided, probably before I was even born, that I would go to Boston College. It was where my dad went. It was where his father went. It was tradition. The problem was, I was not Roger. My grade point average hovered around 3.4. I was decent at sports, played shooting guard on the basketball team, but I was not good enough for an athletic scholarship. I needed a 3.7 to have a real shot at Boston College, and I was running out of time. Roger and I spent a lot of time together that year. We studied at the public library most afternoons, him helping me with calculus and physics, while I helped him prepare for the SAT verbal section. We played pickup basketball after school, grabbed burgers at this dive called Tommy's on Hawthorne Boulevard, talked about what college would be like. Roger was excited about Seattle, about finally getting out of Portland, about studying computer science. I was anxious about Boston, about living up to my family's expectations, about not being good enough. March of 2008. That was when everything changed. We had our final AP calculus exam coming up. It was worth 30% of our grade, which meant it would determine our final grade point averages. Roger studied for weeks. He made flashcards, worked through every practice problem in the textbook twice, even met with our teacher, Mrs. Patterson, during lunch, to go over the stuff he was not confident about. I meant to study. I really did. But basketball playoffs were happening, and I was stressed about 3 other AP exams, and I kept telling myself I would cram the night before. Except the night before, I panicked. I looked at the practice problems and realized I understood maybe half of them. I stayed up until 3 in the morning, but it was not enough. The exam was on a Friday morning. We sat in Mrs. Patterson's classroom, desks spread far apart. Mrs. Patterson was one of those teachers who took academic integrity seriously. She walked up and down the aisles during tests, watching everyone like a hawk. I sat 2 seats to the right of Roger. I remember my hands shaking as I opened the test booklet. The first few questions were okay, basic stuff I had memorized. But by question 6, I was lost. I could feel the panic rising in my chest, that sick feeling when you know you are about to fail and there is nothing you can do about it. That is when I looked over at Roger's paper. Just a glance at first to see if he was struggling too. But he was not. He was moving through the problems steadily, confidently. And before I even realized what I was doing, I was reading his answers, copying them. Not all of them, but enough. Maybe 12 out of the 15 free response questions. I told myself it was just this once, that I would never do it again, that I just needed to get through this one test. Mrs. Patterson saw me. I did not realize it at the time, but she saw me looking at Roger's paper. After the exam ended, she asked Roger and me to stay behind. Then she walked us to Principal Davidson's office. The vice principal, Ms. Torres, was there too. They spread our exams out on the desk. 12 questions. Nearly identical answers, not just the final numbers, but the work shown, the way the equations were set up, even some of the same small mistakes. Principal Davidson asked us directly. Who cheated off whom? I remember the way Roger looked at me. He was confused but not worried. He trusted me. We were best friends. He knew I would tell the truth, and for maybe 5 seconds I almost did. The words were right there. I cheated. I am sorry. I will accept whatever punishment you give me. But then I thought about my parents. I thought about Boston College, about the disappointment in my dad's eyes if I told him I lost my chance because I cheated. I thought about how Roger was smart, how he would probably be fine, how he could take the test again or something. And in the single most cowardly moment of my life, I said, it was Roger. He asked me to help him. I did not know he was going to copy my answers. Roger's face went pale. What? No. That is not. I would never. But there was no proof. The evidence showed our answers matched. My academic history showed I consistently scored lower than Roger, which actually made my story seem believable. Why would the better student copy from the weaker one? Mrs. Patterson said she saw movement, but could not say definitively who was looking at whose paper. They suspended Roger for 2 weeks, put academic dishonesty on his permanent record, and they sent that record to the University of Washington. 3 days later, Roger got a letter. His scholarship was revoked. The university said they could not accept a student with a cheating violation. I will never forget the day Roger's dad came to our house. Frank knocked on our door on a Tuesday evening. He was still in his work clothes, grease stains on his jeans, exhaustion in his eyes. He asked to speak to me. My parents let him in, and we all sat in the living room. Frank looked at me and said, "Please, just tell them the truth. Roger did not do this. You know he did not do this. He has worked so hard. This scholarship is everything to him." I looked at this man, this father who was begging me to save his son's future, and I lied to his face. I am sorry, Mr. Mitchell, but I told the truth. I do not know why Roger did it, but he did. Frank left. My mom hugged me after he was gone, told me she was proud of me for being honest. I went to my room and threw up. Roger transferred schools before the end of the year. His family moved to Seattle trying to salvage something. I heard through mutual friends that he ended up at a community college working 2 part-time jobs to pay for it. I heard his parents' marriage fell apart in 2010, that his dad started drinking, lost his job. I tried to find Roger on social media a few times over the years, but he had no presence online. It was like he vanished. And I went to Boston College. Got my degree in finance in 2012. Got a good job at a consulting firm. Got promoted to senior analyst in 2015. Met Sarah, a nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital, in 2017. We got married in 2018. Had our daughter Emma in 2020. From the outside, my life looked perfect. But I have not had a full night's sleep in 17 years. Every success felt hollow. When I got promoted, I thought about how Roger should have been celebrating his own achievements at some tech company in Seattle. When Emma was born and I held her for the first time, I thought about what I would do if someone destroyed her future with a lie. When my father died in 2021, and his last words to me were, "I am proud of the man you have become," I cried not from grief, but from shame. Sarah knew something was wrong. She is perceptive comes with being a nurse, I guess. She would find me staring at nothing at 2 in the morning, sitting in the kitchen with the lights off. She asked me probably 100 times what I was carrying. "You seem like you are carrying something heavy." What is it? I always gave her the same answer. "Just work stress, honey. I am fine." But I was not fine. I could not be truly present with her, could not open up completely, because there was this massive lie sitting between us that she did not even know existed. I started seeing a therapist in 2024, Dr. Martinez. Nice guy, good at his job. But even with him, I could not bring myself to say it out loud. I talked around it, talked about general guilt and anxiety, but I never told him the truth. How do you admit something like that? How do you say I ruined my best friend's life and got away with it? The guilt manifested in strange ways. I avoided anything related to my high school years. No reunions, no looking at old photos, no staying in touch with anyone from Portland. I deleted my Facebook account, changed my phone number. It was like I was trying to erase that version of myself, the one who made that choice. But you cannot erase yourself. The guilt just follows you, gets heavier every year. I had dreams about Roger at least once a week. Always the same scene. We are sitting in Principal Davidson's office, and he is looking at me with those eyes, that expression of betrayal and confusion. And I wake up in sweat, heart racing, that sick feeling in my stomach. Sarah stopped asking about the nightmares after a while. I think she decided I would tell her when I was ready. Except I was never going to be ready. In 2019, I remember holding Emma for the first time in the hospital. She was so small, so perfect, so vulnerable. And the first thought that went through my head was, what if someone did to her what I did to Roger? What if someone took away her future because they were too coward to face consequences? I had to leave the room. Told Sarah I needed to get coffee. I spent 20 minutes in the hospital bathroom trying to pull myself together. The older Emma got, the worse it became. She is 6 now, in first grade. Smart kid, curious, asks a million questions. Last month she came home and told me about how her teacher talked about honesty, about how lying is wrong. She looked up at me with those big eyes and said, "You always tell the truth, right, Daddy?" And I said yes, because what else could I say? I thought about confessing more times than I can count. Drafted emails to Roger that I never sent. Looked up his name online, trying to figure out where he ended up. But there was nothing. Roger Mitchell was a common enough name that search results were useless, and part of me was relieved. If I could not find him, I could not confess. I could keep living this lie. Then 2 weeks ago, everything changed. It was a Monday morning, late November of 2025. I was at my office, a financial consulting firm in downtown Boston. Nice corner office on the 14th floor, view of the harbor. I was drinking my coffee, going through emails like I did every morning. Client updates, meeting requests, the usual stuff. Then I saw it. An email from an address I did not recognize. R. Mitchell, 1991@gmail.com. No subject line. I almost deleted it, thought it was spam. But something made me click it. "Hello?" It has been a long time. I think you know who this is. My heart stopped. I spent 17 years wondering why you did it. Why my best friend destroyed my life. My hands started shaking. I had to put down my coffee cup. Last month, I ran into Jake Thompson. Remember him? He sat behind us in that exam. Jake Thompson. I barely remembered him. Quiet kid, always in the back of the class. Jake told me something interesting. He said he saw you looking at my paper that day. He said he almost spoke up but did not want to get involved. Oh, God. Jake has been carrying guilt about staying silent. He finally decided to tell me. So now I know the truth. After 17 years, I finally know. I could not breathe. The office walls felt like they were closing in. I need to see you. I need to hear you say it. I need to know why. I will be in Boston this Friday. Meet me at the North End Park at 6 p.m. If you do not show up, I am going to your office. I am going to your house. I am going to find you. You owe me this much. Roger. I read the email 3 times. Then I closed my office door, turned off the lights, and sat in the dark for 2 hours. My assistant knocked twice, asking if I was okay. I did not answer. Jake Thompson. A guy I had not thought about in 17 years had been carrying his own guilt about staying silent, and that guilt had finally made him speak up. And now Roger knew. After 17 years of waiting for this moment, of dreading it, it was finally here. My first instinct was to run, pack a bag, get on a plane, disappear. But where would I go? And Roger had made it clear he would find me. He would come to my office, my house. Sarah and Emma would find out. Everyone would find out. My second thought was that I deserved this. I had been waiting for the other shoe to drop for 17 years. Maybe part of me even wanted it to drop, wanted to finally stop carrying this secret. The next 4 days were torture. I could not focus at work. Made mistakes on client reports that my junior analysts had to fix. Snapped at people in meetings. Sarah asked me if I was okay. I told her I was coming down with the flu. She suggested I stay home, but I could not be in the house. I needed to be somewhere, anywhere, pretending to be normal. I thought about not going to meet Roger. Thought about ignoring the email, changing my number, maybe even consulting a lawyer. But what would a lawyer do? I committed academic fraud 17 years ago. The statute of limitations on that had long passed legally but morally. There was no statute of limitations on what I did. Thursday night, I barely slept. Lay awake next to Sarah, listening to her breathe, thinking about how everything was about to change. How when she found out the truth, she might leave me. How Emma might grow up knowing her father was a liar and a coward. How I would lose my job, my reputation, everything I had built on top of that original lie. But you know what? There was also a strange sense of relief. Finally, after 17 years, it would be over. The secret would be out. I would face the consequences. Maybe I could finally sleep. Friday. I told Sarah I had a late meeting with a client. Left the office at 5:30. Took the T to the North End, walked to the park. It was cold, that biting November cold, that Boston gets, the kind that cuts through your coat. The park was mostly empty, just a few people walking dogs. I sat on a bench near the entrance. My watch said 5:45. At exactly 6 p.m., I saw him. A man walking toward me, hands in his jacket pockets. For a second, I did not recognize him. 17 years changes people. But then he got closer and I saw it. The same face, older now, the same eyes. Roger. He was tall still, that same 6'1" I remembered, but thinner. He had a short beard, now hair cut neat. He wore a black jacket and jeans. He did not look like the broken person I had imagined. He looked like a man who had lived, who had survived. Roger sat down on the bench next to me. We did not look at each other at first. Just sat there 2 feet apart, the silence stretching out between us. I could hear traffic from the street, someone laughing in the distance, my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Finally, Roger spoke. I almost did not come. I thought, what is the point? What can you possibly say that would make any of this okay? His voice was deeper than I remembered. Steady, controlled. But then I realized I need this. Not for you. For me. I need to hear you admit what you did. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out at first. Then you were right. It was me. I cheated off your paper. And when we got caught, I blamed you. Roger turned to look at me for the first time. The anger I expected to see was not there. Instead, there was just pain. Deep, old pain. Why we were best friends. Why would you do that to me? I felt tears building up, tried to push them back. I was scared. My parents had all these expectations. I thought if I failed that test, I would lose everything. I was a coward. I was selfish. I chose my future over yours, my voice cracked. I have lived with this guilt every single day for 17 years. Not a day goes by that I do not think about what I did to you. I am sorry, Roger. I am so sorry. I know it does not change anything, but I am sorry. The tears came then. I did not try to stop them. Roger stood up, walked a few steps away, then turned back. Do you know what that lie did to me? His voice was shaking now, emotion breaking through. I lost my scholarship. I lost my family. My parents divorced because of the financial stress. My dad became an alcoholic. He died 3 years ago. Liver failure. The words hit me like a physical blow. I felt like I could not breathe. Frank was dead. Roger's dad, the man who came to my house begging me to tell the truth, was dead. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through community college, Roger continued. It took me 6 years to get a bachelor's degree. I was angry. I was bitter. I did not trust anyone for years. I lost people I could have loved because I could not let anyone get close. All because you were too much of a coward to own up to your own mistake. I know. But you know what, Roger cut me off. Eventually, I had to let it go. I had to stop being a victim. I had to build something for myself. He sat back down, but farther away this time. I got my degree in computer science in 2014. Started working as a freelance web developer. In 2017, I started my own software development company. Small at first, just me and 2 other guys working out of a coffee shop. Now we have 15 employees. We build custom software for small businesses. I live in Seattle. I am married. My wife's name is Linda. We have a 4-year-old son named Marcus. Roger looked at me. I built a life I am proud of. Not despite what you did, but maybe, in some weird way, because of it. Having everything taken away taught me that I could survive anything, that I did not need validation from institutions or scholarships or anyone else. I could create my own path. I did not know what to say. Here was the man whose life I destroyed, telling me he had not just survived, but thrived. But here is what I need from you, Roger said. I need you to tell the truth, publicly. I need you to write to Lincoln High, tell them what really happened. I need you to clear my record. I want that stain removed from my permanent file, and I need you to tell your family, your wife, everyone who thinks you are such a stand-up guy. You need to face the consequences of your lie, just like I had to face the consequences. Everything I had built would collapse. My job, my reputation, Sarah's respect. But looking into Roger's eyes, I knew he was right. Okay. I will do it. I will tell everyone. I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not deserve that. But I will make this right as much as I can. Roger nodded. Good. I will be watching. He stood up to leave, then stopped. You know what the worst part is? I would have helped you. If you had just asked me that day, I would have tutored you, helped you study every night if that is what it took. That is what friends do. Those words cut deeper than anything else he had said. Because he was right. Roger would have helped me. All I had to do was ask. Instead, I betrayed him. Roger walked away. I sat on that bench for another hour, crying, finally letting out 17 years of guilt and shame and pain. That night, I went home and told Sarah everything. We sat at the kitchen table, Emma asleep upstairs. I told her about the exam, about the lie, about Roger, about carrying this secret for 17 years. Sarah listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Who are you? She finally said. I thought I knew you. She took Emma and went to stay at her mother's house. Said she needed time to think. I did not blame her. I spent the next 3 days alone in our apartment, staring at the walls. I wrote a letter to Lincoln High School. 5 pages, single-spaced. I detailed everything that happened in 2008, took full responsibility, asked them to remove the academic dishonesty notation from Roger's record and add it to mine. I sent it to the current principal with copies to the school board. 2 weeks later, they responded. They would investigate and correct the records. I called my mom, told her everything. She cried. Not because I had cheated, but because I had let her believe a lie for 17 years. Your father would be so disappointed, she said. That hurt more than anything. Word spread at my firm. Someone on the school board knew someone who worked there. By mid-December, I was asked to resign. Moral character concerns, they said. I cleaned out my office on a Friday afternoon, carrying 17 years of career in a cardboard box. Sarah came back after 3 months. Not because she forgave me, but because we had a daughter and a life together. We are in couples therapy now. She said I need to learn to trust you again. And you need to learn to forgive yourself. I do not know if either of those things is possible, but we are trying. I do freelance accounting now, working from home. Make about 40% of what I used to make. We had to sell our condo, move to a smaller apartment in Somerville. Emma is too young to understand what happened, but she knows something changed. She asks why we moved, why Daddy works at home now. We tell her we wanted a change. The strange thing is, I sleep now. For the first time in 17 years, I sleep through the night. No more dreams about Roger looking at me with betrayal in his eyes. No more waking up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat. The guilt is still there. It will always be there. But it is not a secret anymore. In March of 2026, Lincoln High officially corrected their records. They removed the academic dishonesty notation from Roger's file and added one to mine. I emailed Roger to let him know. He responded 2 days later. Just 4 words. Thank you. Take care. We will never be friends again. That ship sailed 17 years ago when I threw him under the bus to save myself. But there is a kind of closure now, a sense that the debt, while never fully payable, has at least been acknowledged. I started volunteering at a nonprofit that helps disadvantaged high school students apply to college. Help them with essays, financial aid forms, scholarship applications. I think about Roger every time I sit down with one of these kids. Think about how close he came to never getting his chance, how hard he had to fight to build something from the wreckage I left him with. Sarah asks me sometimes if I regret telling the truth. The honest answer is complicated. I regret what I did 17 years ago. I regret being a coward. I regret hurting Roger and his family. But do I regret finally admitting it? Living with that secret was killing me slowly. Losing my job, my reputation, even potentially losing Sarah, that was all painful. But it was clean pain. Honest pain. The pain of facing consequences, not the pain of hiding from them. Roger proved something to me. He proved that you can have everything taken away and still build something meaningful. That resilience is not about never falling down, but about getting back up. That your character is not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. Roger responded by working 3 jobs, by putting himself through school, by starting a business, by building a life. I responded by lying and hiding for 17 years. I cannot change the past. I cannot give Roger back his scholarship or his relationship with his father or the years he spent struggling. I cannot undo the damage to his parents' marriage or the opportunities he missed. But I can live the rest of my life with honesty. I can teach Emma that courage is not never making mistakes, but facing them when you do. That integrity means doing the right thing even when it costs you everything. If you are carrying a lie, no matter how old, no matter how buried it is, never too late to tell the truth. It might destroy you. It destroyed me. But living with the lie will destroy you slower and far more painfully. I destroyed my best friend's life 17 years ago with a lie. When the truth finally came out, it destroyed mine too. But somehow in that destruction, we both found a way to rebuild. And maybe that is all any of us can do. Face what we have done, accept the consequences, and try to build something better from the ruins. I think about Roger sometimes. Wonder what Marcus is like if he is as smart as his father. Wonder if Roger ever thinks about me or if he has moved on completely. Wonder if there will ever come a day when I can think about those years without feeling the weight of what I did. But mostly I think about the question he asked me that night in the park. Why? And the answer is still the same. Because I was scared. Because I was weak. Because in that moment I cared more about what I would lose than what I would cost someone else. That is the truth. It is an ugly truth, but it is mine to own. Have you ever made a choice that you could not take back, a choice that changed someone else's life forever? Drop a comment below and let me know. This story is not easy to tell, but if it helps even one person find the courage to face their own truth, then maybe something good can come from all this pain. If this story moved, you hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel for more real stories about the choices we make and the consequences we live with. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And thank you for listening. Thank you for not judging. Thank you for being here. I hope you never have to carry the weight I carried. But if you do, I hope you find the courage to put it down sooner than I did. Take care of yourselves.